Echo, I think we should get this day underway. Let's not let the fans wait any longer. Let's start things off with match number 1. Season 5 playoffs are underway. Echo, take it away.
All right, here we go. We have Jethro from Spacestation Gaming, and it looks like he's coming in with one of those hybrid attack strategies. You may have heard about this strategy. It's one of the most popular right now at Town Hall 13, and it looks like he's coming in with some balloons with that haste spell on that upper compartment, taking out that island, really wanting to get rid of that Inferno Tower because, as you can see behind, we have a Queen charge starting. Now, when you take a look at this base, it has a lot of little channels for that Queen to walk through. There is a super wall breaker in the composition as well, which is the first super troop that we're seeing here in the ESL, but it hasn't been used yet. Now, the Queen is coming into a pretty heavy fire area. We have a scatter shot ahead. There's the cannon, the archer tower, multi-target Inferno, the Expo set on ground, and she's being raged through, and pretty soon we're going to see a king dropped somewhere to establish the funnel on the other side of the base. But the Queen air mine hitting on one of her healers, another rage spell being dropped. Oh no, Queen, she goes down. I don't think that was part of the plan there, Paul. She wasn't supposed to die out right there.
I would think not, because now these poor healers, they just got to go all the way across the map. They're going to get taken out. They're not going to make this trip. Oh my goodness, he couldn't even salvage that. Surprised he didn't like drop a peck or something, maybe closer. I mean, I know he needs to establish that funnel. Maybe he could have tried to keep those alive. Now, you mentioned before, the King's going down on the bottom side here. Oh my goodness, that is a disastrous opening from Jethro from Space Station Gaming. At this point, he's just got to try and salvage a 2-star. That was, oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's exactly what he needs to do right now. Okay, the Queen charge didn't go as planned, but you can't let that completely trash the attack. He needs to pull in the 2-star. Now, the good thing is the Queen was able to set that funnel up in the north, so the Hogs and Miners were able to path nicely to that Town Hall. So grabbing the 2-star wasn't extremely difficult, so he was able to pull in the 2-star, and now it's a percentage game. He didn't pull in the triple that he wanted to, but now he's got to get as much percentage, because how many of these wars actually come down to a percentage here in the ESL?
I would say more than half. I mean, we do have some clutch 3-stars that come in to save the day, but we have literally seen Tide Wars Tide percentage, it has gotten that close before in the past. So you can never count out how important every single individual percentage is on an attack like this. It may not seem like much because there's 5 of you and it's the average damage dealt across an entire war, and we use stars first, but it does. It really does add up over the course of an entire war. And we are going to see it now here as the base of Agent Craze is just going to hold on. No problem. War Agency is looking pretty good in this first attack.
Yeah, it did hold on. Jethro did not get the start that he wanted. You know he was disappointed in that and didn't want to start out the war with a 2-star, but sometimes these things happen. At least he was able to pull in the 2, and now we have to see what War Agency has to bring.
I mean, again, 77%. I'm honestly kind of impressed. I thought that was going to be like a 60s attack, maybe. Like, I wasn't 100% sure. Great sort of adaptation on the fly. The hybrid is such a strong strategy right now as it is. He was just sort of able to rely on the strength of the composition, but still really nice play coming in there on the defending side to just group up. It's kind of that felt like a bit of a bait because you had all those amazing defensive structures. You had the Warden as well doing that work, able to go through that Royal Cloak. So a lot of little things there that make a big difference. Let's get into our second attack. War Agency Omega needs to strike first blood here. Let's see if they can improve on the opening salvo from Space Station Gaming.
Yeah, and jumping on what you just said, I did mention earlier the base building. We've seen such improvements as well over the seasons, and that may have been a really good example of that. Baiting in the Queen and then making it difficult for her. But what do we have right here? War Agency coming in with a Grand Warden walk to start things out. We have Ice Golem, we have Yeti, a couple of balloons, 2 witches in the composition, the Quad Quake, which is something that I think we're going to be seeing a lot of today. We're going to see a lot of that gaping base so that the troops can just storm their way into the core. Coming out with that siege barrack in the northern portion of the base, which is offering tons of value. And actually, those 2 witches were dropped there with the P.E.K.K.A. that came out of the siege barrack. So that's something new and interesting being done. And I actually have a prediction here that we're going to be seeing a bunch of different types of strategies throughout this season. We've been seeing a lot of different stuff come back into the meta, which is extremely exciting. And
I mean, that's the sign of a healthy meta, Echo. Like the fact that you can run a whole myriad of different strategies just goes to show that the balance of the game is in a pretty good shape, as we now see the bulk of this Yeti smash going right on in. There's the quad quake that you're talking about as well, going to open up the whole center of this space. We have some stars already sort of coming over the way here. I mean, that's a really good start. The center of this base is an absolute shambles. My goodness. Question now is, what can the rest of these troops do, especially now with that Royal Champion coming in on the flank? She's going to help clean up a lot of these exterior structures, but I mean, you still got a full health queen, you still have a full health king. This is looking pretty good.
It's looking pretty nice. You have abilities left on 3 of your heroes. The healers are still in the core of the base as well. The only things that I'm seeing, we have a single target Inferno Tower that's behind a wall, but the queen could reach that. I don't know. She's not going to make her way over there, I don't think. The base is looking like it could hold, but at the same time, you don't know when you have those healers. If they could preserve those heroes long enough so the hero abilities could be used through the Inferno, and the queen is making her way around there right now. Royal Champion does go down to the Inferno. We're going to see that queen's ability be used really soon to take out that single target Inferno Tower. There it is. And now it's wall pounding time. We have a minute left. There's a lot of base to clean up. I'm not worried about the defenses here, Paul. I'm worried about the time.
Yeah, I could not agree more. And also the fact these healers, they got to get over on that queen. There we go. It's going to come down to those wizards, the cleanup crew up towards the top right of your screen around that 3 o'clock position. They've got a lot of work cut out for them right now. Yeah, oh man, with only 38 seconds left on the clock, this is going to be rough. I think you're absolutely right, Echo. I think it's going to come down to time here. We're still going to see an attack in the mid-90s, a really solid salvo here from Agent Craze, who had a good base last time around as well. But you're 100% right. I don't think this is going to be a 3-star, but my goodness, is it going to be close? It's
going to be very close. And I'll tell you, one thing that's great about those wizards is they pack a punch. They could do a lot of damage. So if they're not contested by any defenses, they could really clean up things quickly. We have 10 seconds left. Not much base left either. Is it going to be short? Oh my God, it's going to be so close. 3 seconds left and 1. That's what we have. A 96%. Really nice hit. It came down to time. They just needed another 6 seconds, and they could have had that one.
Man, that's heartbreaking. But at the same time, you got to be happy with a 96% hit, especially given the stumble that your opponents did in the first round. And of course, War Agency Omega, they have to be the underdogs coming into this one. And you know they're aware of it too. They're going up against one of these established organizations like Spacestation Gaming. So to be able to start off this war knowing that they're up, knowing that they're ahead, that's got to be a nice little boost there for the ego, a little confidence booster, as we say, going into this. Yeah. But of course, Spacestation Gaming, it's just the first attack. They can come back and 3-star all day long, their heart's content, but we've got to see them do it. Echo, let's get into our second attack here from Spacestation Gaming. Let's see if they can't redeem themselves just a little bit from our first. What? Okay, what?
Well, would you look at this base? It looks like I've seen this base before in Legends League, and we have Ghost from Space Station. He's kind of a specialist of everything. He does a variety of different attack strategies. He's not particularly known for one strategy, and he's coming in with a bit of a Lalo. He's got 5 freeze spells, 1 rage, and 5 haste spells. He's got those Sui heroes coming in from the northern portion of the base, a nice baby dragon funnel happening, and, you know, I see a base like this and I say, I want to throw earthquake spells all over it and take down all of the walls. But that's not what Ghost is saying. Right now, he's saying that he's going to come in through the air, through the skies, something that you could really struggle with here. But let's see, the Royal Champion's ability is being popped. She takes out an air defense, and the Queen's ability was popped as well. What's happening, though, is the base is really being funneled down, narrowed down, trying to create that path for the balloons.
Now, that was actually a really nicely set funnel here, but and my gut instinct when I see a base like this is like, wow, that should be illegal. That's too many wall. Why are they there like that? But no, you're right. There are definitely some very clear weaknesses, like a base like this. Air attacks, of course, being one of them, as the Battle Blimp is making the beeline right on in for that Town Hall. You're going to look to start taking this one down, and that is going to be the troops funneling on out of that one. But this Town Hall is going to drop no problemo. This Valkyrie's coming out. Oh, that's fun.
It looks like there's some defensive archers still shooting down at our balloons, which could be a problem a little later on in the attack. Yeah. It looks like the clan castle wasn't cleaned up 100%, but the balloons are being raged up. We're hoping for a little bit of splash damage there on the troops that were coming out of the clan castle, taking them down. I still see 1 archer, but We're only looking at a handful of defenses left, but they could be tough defenses to get through, like that multi-target Inferno just jumping on our balloons there. The haste spell is trying to take it down, but oh my goodness, all of the balloons in this attack have gone down, and all we have are a few minions for cleanup. This means there's not going to be enough power to get through that air defense, unless if the Grand Warden pulls out something crazy, which I don't believe he's going to do. It looks like we're going to be sitting on a 2-star on this attack as well from Ghost.
Yeah, there's a lot of little minions there on the outside, just going to be doing cleanup duty once again. But yes, like you mentioned before, I don't think we are going to see a 3-star coming in this time from Ghost. I don't know what's with all the what's with all the question mark names? Because like I feel like I have to say with the inflection echo, like Tribe Gaming does it. What's the story? Do you know the story with the question marks?
I think they just want to hear you say it that way. It just sounds so great, so everyone's going to start following the trend.
Oh, all right. That's you know what? That's a totally reasonable response, and I can't be mad because I've done this to myself. But you know what else has been done here? A solid attack. We're going to see a 90% hit here coming on in from Space Station Gaming, certainly making up for that first attack there. Though, to be fair, I think this one had the potential to be a 3.
Yes. Of course, it had the potential, but it just didn't quite get it done. And I'll tell you, these weird bases with some of the weird wall structures can sometimes really mess up an attacker. I mean, they're built in a strange way for a reason. Again, going back to the base building. But yet again, that base is one that at least similar variations of it we've seen before in Clash of Clans. It's not a brand new base design. So I guess you have to figure out what it's the most vulnerable to and smash it with that.
But here's the thing, too. Sometimes you can, by bringing back something old that people haven't necessarily seen in a while at one point they may have remembered the trick to take it down, they may have forgotten because the meta could have shifted quite a bit over time. So bringing in something that people maybe haven't seen for a hot minute could be a great way to shake things up. And as you said before, the way the meta is right now, a lot of different strategies are possible. So I'm excited to see what these players can do. Let's get into our next attack from War Agency Omega. War Legacy sounds good too, but War Agency Omega, it says their profession. They're going to get it done.
And we have Drag Bat. And this is one of the other strategies that we've been seeing come back. And a lot of people were shying away from Drag Bat because of those scatter shots. But sometimes, if you figure some things out, and look at this, the bats, they're coming in early on the attack. What is going on? You never see this happening. Bats, first thing. They're creating a bat funnel on this base. Now, that is pretty unique. I like seeing this. The scatter shot, though, taking down a whole bunch of those bats. They didn't seem to get a ton of value.
I mean, you know, I'm like the not bat proponent. I have been kind of vocal about my not dislike of bats, but just like I feel like 8 times out of 10 that I see bats used, I'm just like, wow, you spent a lot of slots on your bat spells and you got 16% with them. Was that worth it? Do the math. I don't know. I just don't really think, unless they're used perfectly and unless the freeze, and you also have to use a lot of things around them too. You either have to have troops to tank for them, or you have to utilize a lot of freeze spells as well. I don't know. Still need to be convinced on bats. Things I'm not needing to be convinced on is a mass dragon and balloons.
Yeah, I have to agree. And if you look at the spell composition, there's only one spell left after that little bat wave on the outside. They invested a lot of spell space on that funnel, only getting approximately 15%. But the dragons are strong. Will they be able to push on through with the Grand Warden's Eternal Tomb ability, keeping them invincible for the time being? But look at those balloons getting crushed by that. Oh my god, yeah. Those balloons, they barely have any health left. A little archer tower could take down one at a time at this point. But they're being tanked fairly well by those dragons. So far, it's doing all right. But what's going on with that town hall? It's all alone. But now we see a couple of dragons encroaching. We also have the Stone Slammer in the composition still as well. So Agent is coming through. Here's his security blanket to make sure that he at least grabs the 2-star. And although he's going to be fighting a sweeper a little bit, he's got dragons, a slammer. Things should be okay for the 2.
Oh, you say that, though, but that sweeper's making this a little bit risky. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, okay, I got it done.
That might have been a little too close for comfort, if I'm being honest. I was a little sus right at the end. I don't know about that. I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, I understand, you know, it's like a precision thing, you know, exactly the right tool for the job, you know, not too much, not too little. He got it done, but still a little risky.
People underestimate that sweeper, but that sweeper can crush attacks. I don't know how many times it's crushed me personally, just trying to get the balloons in a certain area of the base, and they're getting pushed back over and over again. The most frustrating thing, don't underestimate the sweepers. They're important.
They are super important. A key element of the defense, just another layer of the sort of the defensive sandwich that you put together. You got your walls on the outside, you got your towers, and you got your other defensive sweeper. Maybe it's like the mustard or the mayo. It's like important, like you'd notice it if it wasn't there. Anyway, I'm taking this analogy too far. Let's get into our next attack. Space Station Gaming is up on deck once more. Let's see if they can improve on that 90% 2-star, because we've yet to see a 3-star hit Echo.
We have yet to see one, but we have SSG John, and he is our Suilalo specialist. I actually just put out a pro tip video from him, with him, teaching people how to do this strategy. Let's see if he can come in with his own strategy. Not that he created it, but he's an expert at it, and pull in the 3-star that we're hoping from him. So he's coming in with the Ice Golem tanking. The king, the queen, and the champion, it looks like, is coming in there as well early in the attack, which is not typically what you're going to see, but looks like he wants to take out a bunch of defenses early.
I mean, he definitely is looking towards that Eagle artillery. That is such a big piece of defense here, though. I think that was still a bit of a misplay, utilizing that shield just a little bit sooner, because the lifesteal that you get from that, the ability to get yourself back up to full HP, obviously you don't get the maximum value out of that if you're above that. I think it's about 40% HP threshold is what you're getting back. I did the math once. It's been a while. But still, that is a compartment down. That is some key defensive pieces out of the equation. But you got to look towards this town hall, because you can do all the work in the world, but if that town hall is still standing, it's a disaster.
Yes, it is. And he's got the blimp to try to secure the town hall, but it has a long path to go along. Balloons are supporting nicely. We have the pups and the minions behind that are cleaning up everything else. And here we go with the rage spell on those balloons, on the blimp, which won't affect the blimp until it actually goes down, which is right now. And will he secure the town hall with the dragon and some balloons in the CC? Looks like he does. The 2-star is in the bag, and now it's again down to, is there enough power in the balloons left over to take out the rest of the defenses in that single target inferno? It's going to take down that dragon, take down those balloons, and again, what are we seeing? The attack is down to minions and lava pups, and it's tough to take down some strong defenses with those. But again, we're looking at a high percentage. Look at that, the Inferno Tower did eventually go down at the end of the day, but we're going to be looking at probably a 90% on this one with the Grand Warden and the minions. There is that Tesla, that Expo. Yeah, the Expo's set on air and ground, so it's going to be ending pretty close there, but he spent a lot, all of his heroes, to take out that one compartment. With that being said, it had a Stone Slammer, it had a it had a Inferno Tower, it had the Eagle Artillery, it had a bunch of defenses in there. Looking back, I'll be able to tell you exactly what they were.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was still another solid hit here. Able to get back-to-back attacks above 90%, really darn solid here from Space Station Gaming. But you know what I'm not seeing, Echo? I'm not seeing the blowout that I thought I was maybe going to see here. I mean, War Agency Omega, there is a reason they are in the playoffs. They have been able to go toe-to-toe with Space Station so far. I mean, looking 87 to 86%. This is still neck and neck between both of these teams. I am so impressed from what I'm seeing from them right now. I can't wait to see what they're up to next. I can't wait to see what this next attack looks like. If they can continue on this trend going into our halfway mark, give Space Station Gaming a run for their money. Let's get into this next attack here. War Agency Omega, clearly part of a larger clan family. This is maybe they have an alpha, maybe this is the Omega, but they are definitely not lesser. They're looking real strong right now.
They're looking great, and they have some solid bases, and there's nothing better than a nice, tight, close match in Clash of Clans. So whether I represent Space Station or not, I could always respect an amazing war. And in this one, it looks like we have a bit of a Yeti bowler smash with that Yeti bomb on the Inferno Tower compartment, taking down a bunch more of those defenses. And looks like the Yeti were beaten up on the Royal Champion as well in there. So getting some good value out of that blimp. And we have the Warden Walk happening up top in the north. You know, we've been seeing a lot of that. A lot of these solid clans with these solid players, they really have mastered the Warden Walk, being able to create a funnel and then pull that Grand Warden back with the guts of the attack that we're seeing drop into the base now. The Yeti, the bowlers, the king, and the queen jumping in, and again, a quad quake, which I love inside of Clash of Clans. The value you grab just can be massive if done properly.
Oh, absolutely. Again, one of those things you got to use really skillfully. And speaking of skillfully, man, the Eternal Tome usage has been great all day long, not only denying the damage from the Giga Bomb, not only denying the damage from the Eagle Artillery, but also making sure that these key troops can get into position where they need to be. And my goodness, another solid attack here, but let's see what the legs look like, because this is the point of the attack where I always go, it's looking great, and then like two things happen and everything dies and I look really silly, and it happens more than I'd like to admit. But in any case, I actually think this one's looking pretty solid. The Royal Champion is still alive on the outside, able to get a couple more attacks, and the Skellies are going to try and clean her up, but still, that's a lot of damage done so far. The question is, with these healers still alive, how much more work can these champions do?
Yeah, when you look at a base, you look back and you say, okay, well, what can take out my troops now? And you notice that the scatter shot is still there, still waiting to attack troops that come its way. And now we do have a queen's ability. We have one wizard left in the composition as well. And the queen is going to be coming up on that scatter shot soon. Depending on her pathing, there she goes. She's taking a little bit of fire from it. She can get it over the wall. And with her ability, she's going to be able to take out a very powerful defense. I'm seeing 57 seconds or 50 seconds left on the clock, with the Yeti walking around, two Yetis, tanking for some wizards, tanking for the Warden, the Queen still with some healers. You know, you mentioned that this was looking really good, and I don't know. I don't think you jinxed it this time. It's looking pretty nice. It looks like we could pull this one in.
This time. You didn't jinx it this time. I love it. I love the implied shade, Echo, because you're not wrong. The caster curse has been very real in seasons past and may still be real again today. We're not going to push our luck too much on this one, because this is still a Yeti moving on through. You've still got the archers in the back that were summoned with the Royal Cloak. And with 15 seconds left on the clock, I don't know. This could look pretty solid here. This is going to come down to the wire. Oh my goodness, this might actually be it. Our first 3-star, and it is, oh boy, and it's War Agency Omega that strikes first blood in the Battle of 3 Stars, 100% base completion, and it came on attack number 6. Oh me, oh my.
Caster curse over as well.
Look, at least for now. It'll come back shortly, I'm sure. You know what? Carbon Fin standing by. He's been waiting in the wings. He's been watching, ready to jump in with some analysis. At our halfway mark, I need to get his thoughts on how this war is going so far. Carbon Fin, what are you thinking?
Yeah, unbelievable war so far. I was thinking it was not having a 3, but that last attack just went in for the triple, which means Space Station Gaming, who are coming into this war as the favorites, have to make a comeback here. I was expecting some of the wars to maybe be around 12-12, but this looks like it's going to be a low-scoring war, so it's anyone's game right now.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I think the fact that we've seen so many of these bases just do their intended jobs, the attacks, they've had to been adjusted on the fly because they just didn't work quite right at the start. Definitely making these players second guess some little things here, making sure they get back to basics, do the fundamentals well, and I can't wait to see how the rest of this war progresses. We will tune in with you at the end for our Xperia highlights. Can't wait to see exactly what attack you're going to go over. Thank you so much, Carbon Fin, for joining us at our halfway Mark, I'm going to have to come up with a fancy name for it, I think, at some point. A fancy name. We'll jump in with you in a little bit as we get into our next attack. Let's not leave the fans waiting any longer. Let's get this one back underway. Echo, let's get going.
Looks like Boone is coming in from Space Station and coming in with some dragons of his own, and notice the clone spell in the composition as well. Usually Boone is a Yeti bat or a drag bat attacker. I don't see any bats in this composition though, so let's see exactly what his plan is. But one thing I know is we're on our heels in Space Station. We need to come in with a triple and start doing some damage, and here we go. With that Electron, what's happening here is the base is being funneled out. The pathing is being set right now for those dragons to go in the right direction. I mean, that's really how you start out an attack. You funnel things down, and the Electron is a great way to start that out. And now on the other side of the base up north, the king and the queen. King is going to protect his girl, and they're going to clean out things from north all the way down to the east. Unless if they go in a different direction and make me a liar.
No, I think you're looking pretty good. You're looking pretty. Now, I have to say, that's definitely one of the better Electron uses I've seen so far. That actually got a ton of value at the start. Oftentimes, we've just seen it just like get instantly deleted and the clones don't really do a whole lot. But that actually felt impactful. That was actually really, really solid. I'm a big fan of what Boone was able to do there. And also, it's interesting to know just sort of how the progressions of some of these attacks have gone. I remember back to the first day of Season 4, I was casting this, and it seemed to be like the Yeti bombs was all about like getting your blimp into the core and taking down that town hall with it. And then as the weeks progressed, it's like, no, we're going to take down one key compartment with this. Let's not overextend ourselves. Let's make sure we secure that. And ever since, we've been seeing more of that attack style, using the blimp a lot more strategically. And I am a huge fan of it.
Yeah, and look at this right here. I don't know if you noticed, but one of those witches from the defensive clan castle stayed alive and was not poisoned. So what Boone did was lured it all the way over to the eastern side of the base with one archer to take it out with that champion. But we have a scatter shot and an air defense left. There's a lot of dragons here. I mean, if they path properly, which it looks like the dragons in the southwest, they decided to go towards the outside rather than towards the scatter. If pathing goes well, we could be looking at a triple, but we're relying heavily on the pathing of these dragons right now, and they seem to be scared of that scatter shot.
I mean, I can't say that I blame them. Definitely also some space created by that defensive king. They're able to take down the attacking royal champion, and this scatter shot in prime location at the southern tip of this base has just been continuing to rain down unrelenting pain on the attack. Oh my goodness, that animation is just savage, man. It's just brutal to watch. It's just like I can just picture it. It's like, oh man, wouldn't want to get hit with that rock. I mean,
it's hurting me over here watching it, I'll tell you that. And literally every dragon went around the scatter shot down rather than going towards it. That scatter shot must have taken out 4 or 5 dragons towards the end of the attack. And that has to do, again, with a great position, a great base build here that makes it really difficult to be able to pull in those dragons, at least against this attack, and pull in the 3-star. And, well, Boone is going to be ending here with another high percentage 2-star on this one, which is not yet what they need.
No, they need a 3. Because I want to remind everybody at home, if you're just joining us, how we score this. So between both players, the team at the end of the war with the most stars accrued will be our winner. If both of these teams are tied in terms of stars, that's when we break things down and we use the average percentage damage dealt. I know it's a mouthful, but basically, you know, if I have 11 stars and they have 10 stars, I win. But if I have 11 stars and so do they, and it comes down to that number at the bottom of your screen. In this case, 91% for War Agency Omega. So if we were to just tie the war, end it right now, War Agency Omega would walk away with the win. Definitely an upset, I think, here for most people. But war's not over till it's over. We've seen things get crazier towards the end. So let's get into our next attack here from War Agency Omega and see what they can do. But my goodness, Echo, this has been one heck of a war.
It has. And you said that you wanted to start out with a strong prediction, and we need War Agency. If we want Space Station to pull in this win, War Agency needs to get a low percentage 2-star. Because remember, we need to pick up, as Space Station, they need to pick up percentage as well as a star. There's an up-road battle right here. So we got Brian coming in with another one of those hybrid attacks. And coming into a really heavy compartment, we have 4 Expos raining down on that queen, a mortar, an archer tower, now a Tesla. But the queen, she's pushing her way through. She's doing her job right now. And the healers are taking a little bit of that heat, but the queen's going to retarget, take out one of those Expos that is actually targeting her healers. And notice the healers stayed in that rage spell just to keep that queen up. It's always more important to keep the healers in the rage than the queen. And
absolutely.
Stone Slammer now coming on in, going to take out some defenses and maybe even open up some wall for that queen. Nice job with the freeze spells as well, freezing that Inferno Tower, that air defense. And now coming up, actually not going towards the scatter, went back towards the Eagle Artillery, and the base has been funneled. In come the ground troops, the Hogs and the Miners.
Oh my goodness, blink and you miss it. That town hall is just gone. I have to give so many props to Brian. That queen walk to start things off was flawless. He had Expos, too many Expos for him to deal with. So he dropped the king in on one side. That took the aggro of one. Then he dropped the balloon in on the other. That took the aggro of another. And it created enough time, enough space for that queen walk to turn into a charge. And that momentum, that funnel off the back of everything else, the Stone Slammer that came through, that is looking massive right now. And now the core of this base is slowly but surely starting to get taken out. That king that you saw dropped earlier, he's still alive. He's now down all the way at the southern portion of this base. So the hero usage from Brian this time around has been really excellent.
Yeah, and we call that value in Clash of Clans. If your heroes can last that long, you are getting massive value. And I find in many of these attacks, if you can get good value from your spells, from your heroes, things end well. Unfortunately, it looks like those single target Infernos were ending things a little bit earlier than he wanted to. Now we just have a few cleanup troops to try and pick away percentage. sitting with that 60, maybe push towards 70% 2-star. Not sure where we lie. But it looks like it's going to be a 68% 2. 69.
Yeah. No, I mean, that was, again, the second I think an attack in the center of the troops in the center of the base are doing work, the second I think it's like, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
They're looking really solid. They all die. So yes, multi-single target. Yeah, that's okay. Multi-single target Infernos. Doing a lot of work there on the defensive end of things. And I remember, way back when I first started casting Clash of Clans, we never saw a lot of single target Infernos. But with Town Hall 13 and Yetis and a lot of these other troops coming back into the meta, the switch back to having at least one single target has been really, really impactful. And personally, I mean, that's the defense. That and the Eagle Artillery, those are the two things I'm always the most scared of.
I'll tell you, I personally like to set my Inferno Towers on single, but it varies. You defend against this, and then you're vulnerable to that, and that's how the meta. It's so balanced right now, and I love that. You'll see singles, you'll see multis. It depends on the base build, what they're trying to defend against, and for me, it's the scatter shot. I'm always scared of that scatter shot, even more than that Eagle Artillery these days, and we've been seeing it do so much work so far already today.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of work, solid defense there from Space Station to bring this back within 0.5%, 85.8 to 86.3. Oh my goodness, we've got ourselves a war, but the biggest difference there, 9 stars to 8. Space Station Gaming have got to get a 3-star here if they want to tie it up. Let's get into their 5th and final attack of our first match of the day. They need to go big. It's not quite go home yet. This is the upper bracket, but still getting knocked out here in the round of 32. My goodness, would that not be going according to plan?
No, it would not be going to plan, but we have Agent 33 coming in. He's a player that's good at a variety of strategies. It looked like he's coming in with a Queen Charged Lalo. Very strong strategy if you could take care of the scatter shots. And when you look at this base, the 2 scatter shots and the Eagle are being protected in the southern portion of the base right here. So I'm wondering if he's going to try and do a little bit of work with this Queen Charge and get her in to take out those scatter shots before the Lalo. A lot has to go to plan here. There's a lot of damage shooting down on her, and we saw this happen in the first attack of this war as well, where the Queen had a very difficult time around a very similar structured defensive area with expos, scatters. But here we go, the Queen, her ability still intact, taking down the Eagle Artillery, working on more expos. We want to see those scatter shots taken down. Remember, her ability is intact, but we need to be careful because we don't want to lose that ability or make a big mistake. I'd like to see her ability being used here. Instead, the freeze spell, that's a great play. And this is why Lalo can work. Scatter shots are gone. Jump spell is going to take out the sweepers and get her going right towards the town hall.
This is massive. Agent 33 going clutch with that freeze spell usage. And I also want to note, the part of the reason that the Queen, this charge, is so uniquely suited to take down this portion of the map is because the way the scatter shot works is if it targets a ground unit, the splash only affects the ground units, which means that the healers, even if it looks like they're in the area of effect radius of that splash, are not actually taking that damage, which means that this combo is one of the best ways to take down those scatter shots. I love it. And now the Royal Cloak has, actually still intact going into this. She still has so many options with the jump spell as well. Now the rest of the attack is coming in. This is looking pretty solid.
I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better Queen Charge to start out the attack, but now we have to see if there's enough power in the back end, in the Lalo. And notice the Battle Blimp came through, and he just popped it in that compartment because he didn't need to have it take down the Town Hall. He had 2 ways to grab that Town Hall, one with the charge and one with the Blimp. But did you notice all those balloons just went down from that Blimp? There's no more Lava Hound to tank. The balloons that are left over are being hasted through, but they have to get through that single target Inferno, and it looks like we have a Warden, we have minions, and we have a Queen with her ability. There's a lot of base left for only that number of troops to take down. Now, luckily, we have a little bit of help on that King with those minions and those pups, but the Queen has a big job ahead of her, and she's got to get through some wall as well, and she's not pounding through the proper wall right there. We wanted to see her go down.
The decision I like, though, Agent 33 did use the cloak earlier. The Queen will summon all of these additional archers, and what that'll do is increase the DPS, damage per second, and allow this attack to get through just a little bit quicker. But with only 15, I don't think this is going to be it. Echo, no. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this doesn't look like the 3-star hit we were promised. This looks like it is going to be a solid 2-star, but not nearly enough, which means that there's only one option left in this attack. If you're cheering for Space Station Gaming, we need to see a 1-star fail come out of War Agency Omega, because as it stands right now, they're down in terms of percentage, and by enough that it means that if Space Station Gaming, I mean, even if they were to get the 1 star, yes, they would absolutely be below Space Station's here. So, not ideal.
It's not the position you want to be in. And, you know, with that last attack, I'm wondering if he came in with a Stone Slammer instead of the Blimp. The Blimp was headed for the Town Hall and then was just rocked by the defenses when it went down in the core of the base. I think he was expecting to have to use that on the Town Hall. Either way, Space Station Gaming fans have to hope for a 1 star right now out of War Agency, or else they're going to the lower bracket.
Again, not out of this yet, but then rip our perfect season predictions. Ain't that right, Echo? That's okay. We're going to see what Skywalker can do here. He just needs to secure the 2 stars. That's all he needs. 50% damage accrued, and the Town Hall needs to go down. And that is going to be the victory for War Agency Omega, taking down one of the favorites going into this tournament. That would be an amazing opening upset.
Yeah, and you know, you attack differently when you know all you need is a 2 star. And this base does not have a centralized Town Hall. The Town Hall is near the outside and should be fairly easy to grab. So the attacker needs to make sure that they can take down both the Town Hall and 50% of the base. If they can do that, they're going to clutch themselves the victory on here. And look at that super wall breaker coming in. My God, I love those super troops. Too bad we only have them every other week because they just do not fail, even for an attacker like me.
Look, having some foolproof ways to up your attacking game, you love to see it. You'd also love to see this queen stay alive, and oh my goodness, forced to pop that Royal Cloak already, even on top of the Rage. That is not ideal. But we are going to see this Town Hall start to go down here. This is going to be the first star being taken here for Skywalker, and the bulk of this hybrid is still yet to be used. I can't wait to see what he can do with this here. 32% has now been achieved.
Yeah, and he's coming through with that beautiful siege unit that's going to bring the extra troops to the attack. And really, he's just got to have a solid storm into the base. And if he plays it smart, heals a little bit earlier than he typically would, ensures the 50%. He's got the Grand Warden's Eternal Tome ability as well. It's going to probably be used fairly soon. He's going to feel good being able to bring in the victory for his clan. You know, the last thing you want to do is 1 star when all you need is a 2. And you know that Skywalker is going to make sure that he pulls in the 2 star, 53% 2. This clutches them the war, dropping Space Station down. Your predictions are not going to be 100% this season. I'm sorry to say. Sorry to let you down. But right now, we're going through, and we're going to see if he can pick up the triple. But there's a lot of base left to do just that. Some miners along the outside with those wizards, and of course the Warden trying his best to be clutch.
Look, you know what? At the same time, I can't even be mad, Echo. I love a good underdog story because, again, most people will consider Space Station pretty heavily favored coming into this one here. I mean, you know, some of the players here from War Agency, they've been around for a little bit while, but at the same time, you're going into one of these established organizations in the scene, but that's just what the Mobile Open is all about. Anybody can show up. Anybody can go toe-to-toe with one of these top teams and prove why they deserve to be here in the round of 32. And as this Grand Warden is going to go down, 76% to a solid hit here. But solid in this case was just good enough. Exactly what they needed to get the job done. War Agency Omega, 11 stars to 10. Will claim the victory here over Space Station Gaming. Oh me, oh my. What a way to start our day. I have to welcome Carbon Finn back to discuss, to talk about this, because there were certainly things to talk about in this one. Carbon Finn, what did you think of that war as a whole?
Man, that war was absolutely crazy. Space Station Gaming going down. Big upset right there. The underdogs coming through. But hey, you never know. That 1 3-star can make all the difference, which is what happened right there for War Agency.
Yeah, it was just solid hits there. Echo, if you were sort of sitting in the coach's realm of this time around there for SSG, what would you maybe have suggested, like 1 or 2 little things they could look to do differently?
Well, I mean, you could always change up how you do attacks. The great thing about this format for war is you don't know what the bases have. Traps are just that. They're hidden. They're traps. You don't know how to deal with them. You don't 100% know how to hit a base. And you just have to look a little bit deeper, work as a team. But they're going to the lower bracket, and it's not over yet. You have to regroup, get yourself back together, and you still have a shot. That's what they have to do.
I love it. They're not out of this yet. It is double elimination, and we have seen more than one team, more than two. We've seen many teams fight their way up through the lower bracket to claim victory at our finals, so no one is out of it yet. Carbon, I need you to walk us through our Xperia highlight from that last matchup. I have a guess which attack you picked.
Yep, you know exactly which one. The one triple that came in from this war, which I believe was the third attack for War Agency, we'll take a look at, because that was the difference maker right there. That gave him the 1-star victory. And we're going to jump straight into it right here. Came in with the Yeti Bowler attack here, and usually tend to start with a Grand Warden walk, and that is exactly what he does up top at 12 o'clock. Wants to clear all of the trash buildings, sends in that blimp over at 9 to help take down that single target Inferno. Does use a rage spell. I love using rage spells with the Yeti blimp when you go into an enemy hero compartment, so that raged up Yetis can take that hero down and take the rest of the defenses as well. I usually do in the enemy hero or the Eagle artillery is typically what I do, and he cleared that whole bottom section beautifully. Now the King's gonna help make his way over towards the town hall, and there is the jump. And you see the jumps being used on the outside of the base. Sometimes instead of a jump, if you could use some super wall breakers, maybe he didn't have the super wall breakers in this week here. So he ends up going with the jump on the outside and quad quake into the core so the Yetis and bowlers can push their way all the way through. One thing I did notice he didn't take in his attack, which can be very risky, is he didn't have any balloons to follow in. And look at that, Seeking Air Mine comes through, but the Grand Warden ability protected the healers as he's pushed his way through. Out came 2 ice golems right there and some archers. Does have a poison to help take those down, but here he goes, move his way through, and that RC coming in the back end, but it's a multi-target Inferno, so you don't have to worry too much about it. A lot of people are running those single target Infernos nowadays because you have that third hero, that RC. She can absolutely shred through multis, no problem, so you really want to try to take her down. And look, she continues around through the space, still has her ability right here, and Queen ability. Sometimes you're just hoping that these Yetis, the healers, stay alive, they transfer off, and that's exactly what happened in this raid. Had just enough. The RC got so much belly on the outside, which ended up leading to the 3-star here. It was very close in the end.
Yeah, it came down to the wire there, just able to clean up those last few buildings. Thank you so much, Carbonfin, for walking us through this stellar attack, our only 3-star here for our Xperia highlight. A great attack coming in from War Agency Omega to secure the 3-star, to secure the victory over Space Station Gaming in our very first match. We're going to take a break, but before we do, let's say goodbye to you guys for now. We'll jump back in after the break because I need to give a huge shout out to AT&T, the presenting partner of the ESL Mobile Open, without whom none of this would be possible, helping to facilitate amazing matches with the one you just saw. Those teams coming on in, looking to make a name for themselves, going toe-to-toe with some of the top esports organizations in North America, and able to, in this case, go clutch, able to put on those amazing moments like that, and it could not be possible without the support of AT&T. So thank you so much to AT&T, our presenting partner. Now, I also have to say, if you at home want to get involved, if you want to stay up to date, !social, !social in the chat. You can get all of our links there, especially over on Twitter. We post a ton of updates, highlights. If you want to get involved in maybe, I don't know, cheering on your favorite team, or maybe putting a squad together for season 6, just saying, heading on over to Twitter and getting all the info there is a great way to go about it. We're going to hop onto a short break. When we come back, it is our next war. The action will keep on coming. I'll see you in a few.